Hello there Pokemon fans, welcome to another PlaySkape Games video, and today more news. I'm loving that I can bring you lots of news at the moment because normally I don't have time to record this many videos, but yeah, lockdown, all that fun stuff. Today we've just got news about the third Sword and Shield set in Japan, which also coincidentally we talked about yesterday, is going to form part of our huge August set in English. Darkness Ablaze. So you may think, oh, these cards are Japanese, it's not relevant to me. These cards will be coming in our August set in English, most likely. I can't imagine any reason they would skip the August set, but these cards we're going to be talking about today will be in the English set, and there's some really strong cards here. And this is only a partial reveal of the set. This is only like some of the cards. This is not all of them, so I'm very excited to show you guys these cards. They're literally just been revealed this morning, and yeah, we're going to talk more about them. But yeah, there's the set artwork. Infinity Zone. Fun fact, it originally was called World Down, but they obviously changed the name because of the COVID. So the set's fully released on June the 5th. We should know most of the cards literally on the days running up to that, but it's great that they've revealed a whole bunch of them now so we can talk about them. The best cards have been revealed as well, like some of the best. There might be some more good trainers and non-V Pokemon. They sometimes leave a few surprises in the set itself, but yes, we'll have to wait and see for that. So yes, the new cards. Yeah, we've got the pack artwork. Yeah, they talk about the spiel here. We're just going to go straight into the cards. So the big one, Crobat V, aka Shaymin-EX, is back, boys and girls. Obviously, unlike Shaymin-EX's setup, or in French, Maison Place, I absolutely love it. Unlike the setup ability, you can only use one Night Asset once per turn. I'm sure it'll probably be called something else in English once it's translated, but yeah, Crobat V, absolutely brilliant. I'm also happy it's only got a retreat cost of 1, so even if you start it, it's not the worst starter. And that Poison Fang can be quite nice maybe sometimes. If you're actually going to be playing a Darkness deck, that 70 damage might be quite handy sometimes to, or 80 with the Poison to finish them off, so absolutely awesome. But the main reason that Crobat V is in this set, they didn't put this in first, I don't think. I think the reason the Crobat V is in this set is because of this Eternatus VMAX card. Now, it may take a few moments to get your head around this ability, but this is absolutely insane. So, first of all, it's got 340 HP, which is on the upper echelons of HPs for VMAX Pokemon, so it's a lot more tankier than your Dragapults, your Toxtricities, and so forth. But first of all, Eternatus VMAX, the Eternal Realm ability. So this is the first VMAX Pokemon we've had with an ability. Normally, VMAXs just have chunky attacks and all sorts, but it actually has an ability. And what a doozy for our first ability. Wow, I'm very excited about this. This ability only works if all of your Pokemon in play are Darkness-type Pokemon. You can have up to 8 Darkness-type Pokemon on your bench. Yes, that's right, 8. So it's like Skyfield, but only for Darkness-type Pokemon. But you cannot play Pokemon of any other type on your bench. If this ability stops working, discard bench Pokemon until you have 5. So effectively, it basically means that you have to build your deck with entirely Darkness-type Pokemon. Theoretically, you can still use like Mewtwo and use Scoop Up Net to pick it up. But if you use Mewtwo when you had a bench of 8, the ability would stop working and you'd have to discard down until you have 5. So ideally, you'd probably want to make an Eternatus VMAX deck with only Darkness type Pokemon. I have theory crafted already some ideas, a skeleton list of like Pokemon that I want to use, but we're still ways away until we get this set in English, which is Darkness Ablaze, which will be on August the 14th. And yeah, the big attack, Dread End, 30 times damage for all the dark Pokemon you have in play. So with a regular bench of 5, that's 150 damage. That's not bad for 2 energies, considering that Dragapult does 130 for 2 energies. And the 2 psychic energies. This is dark and colourless, so you can use other things that help with colourless attacks. But with the full bench, so the Skyfield effect that the Eternatus will give us, with a full bench, Dread End will be doing, I believe, 180, 200, 240 damage with a full bench. So that's a lot of damage for 2 energies. You are one-shotting most regular V Pokemon. So Zacian gets one-shotted Sandaconda gets one-shotted. All those regular V Pokemons are getting one-shotted. In fact, with 210, you're one-shotted most V Pokemon apart from Zacian, actually, which is quite cool. Yes, it's also a Dark type, so you're hitting Dragapult for weakness. So this is going to be like the big anti-Dragapult VMAX deck. Obviously, you're hitting it for weakness. You don't even need a full bench to... wait, no, you do. You need 6 Pokemon on your bench to one-shot Dragapult, because you'd only be doing 300 damage, but this card is going to be huge, and the V that it evolves into, it also isn't too bad either, so I'm quite excited about this one. 220 HP is also a lot of HP. The Power Cell can be really handy, so you use Power Cell to power up another Eternatus V on your bench, so that way when you evolve that, if this one gets knocked out, you evolve the one on the bench and you're still ready to do your big Dread End attack. So very powerful, very excited for that. You're never ever going to use Dynamax Cannon, I don't think, because it's going to be very difficult to get 4 energies on this. I don't recommend going down the route of using if you were to make this deck, I don't recommend you go down the route of using like red and blue, Silvally, we can't use Weavile. I don't recommend you going down that route. Weavile is nice, but like with Dragapult VMAX, I think the best way you play this deck is you just attach darkness energies over and over again. And you can also use the Eternatus V to, you know, set up your bench. So very, very excited for this archetype. Obviously, not being able to use the Dene is quite bad, and Jirachi, but you've got Crobat V, so you're just going to be playing 3 to 4 copies of this Crobat V, just setting up your bench, just putting all your Darkness type Pokemon down, and yes, it's going to be very, very good. I'm very excited for this. These combo also really well with a new supporter card we're getting in this set, which is Chairman Rose, or just Rose for short. So Rose lets you attach 2 basic energy from your discard pile to one of your VMAX, and then you discard your hand. The only problem with that, if you're discarding your hand, you've got no hand to play. So you may be powering up an Eternatus on your turn, but you've got no hand. But we do have a nice little stadium to combo it off, Rose Tower. So it's Rose and Rose Tower, which is quite nice. Nice little synergy there between that. You may draw cards until you have 3 cards in your hand. So obviously your opponent can use that as well, but unless they're playing a deck that has like lots of hand discard and stuff, and they don't have many cards in their hand, you don't mind if they're drawing 3. You use Chairman Rose to get your 2 energies on your Eternatus or any VMAX Pokemon. So this actually makes Malamar VMAX also viable in the same deck as well. So you can do the hand disruption element from Malamar VMAX, and then you use Rose Tower afterwards and then draw 3 more cards. So you then play your card, you get your top deck for next turn, you've got 4 cards in hand. So seems good. There is also a nice Darkness energy, one of these special energies that all the sets seem to be getting now. This one, unfortunately, is nowhere near as good as Speed Energy and Horror Energy, but it's still got lots of potential. No retreat cost is very nice, considering how much retreat costs those VMAX and V Eternatus Pokemon have. So it just means you can just attach and then swap into another one on the bench, so you're not having to use Mallow and Lana. Obviously, they can still use Boss's Orders to bring out the one with damage on it already, but I don't think we're going to mind too much. I imagine you'll still play 4 of these in the Eternatus VMAX deck anyway, just so you've got the option of retreating, but it doesn't really give it as much of a boost as the damage counters from Horror Energy and the drawing card that Speed Energy does. So slightly disappointed, but I'm sure it will still see a lot of play in the Darkness decks. So we're going to take a look at some of the other Pokemon that have been announced. So yeah, another side note for Crobat. This will probably replace the Dene GX in a lot of decks. Probably not all of them. In Pikachu Zekrom, you still want to be using Electromagnetic Radar to get your Dene GX, and also to discard your energies to use with Coco Prism. In Toxtricity VMAX, again, exactly the same thing. You want to be getting those energies in the discard, drawing for your deck a lot quicker to get your combo pieces and stuff. But I imagine this will replace the Dene in a few decks. I imagine in maybe Dragapult VMAX, you might play one of these and one the Dene. So that way, on your turn 1, you've got an option to either, if you don't want to discard a important card in your hand, you can just play Crobat to draw 4 or 5 cards. Or if you have a bad hand and you just really want to draw for your deck quicker to get set up, you can just play Dedenne. So Crobat V is very strong. Obviously, it's going to replace Dedenne in all the decks once Dedenne rotates next year. Yes, imagine to be playing straight out the bat like $20, $25 for each of these Crobats, because especially considering the VMAX Eternatus deck will need at least 3 copies of Crobat V, maybe 4, but probably 3. Because Super Scoop Up's going to rotate, they've got no easy way to pick up these Crobats, so you're just going to have to keep playing them down. Potentially what we could do is we could use non-GX, non-darkness type Pokemon to put on the bench to then discard Crobat. So that way you can maybe then shuffle it back and reuse the effect again. But I don't know. We'll have to see. But very strong card, and you'll be needing to pick up a couple of these as soon as Darkness Ablaze drops in August. So next up we have some more Pokemon V. So I think they've announced pretty much all of the Pokemon V from this set. Next up we have Salamence V. This effectively confirms that Dragon-type cards will not be printed again for at least the next few years. Oh, but Salamence can be a flying type as well. Well, we had a Dragonite. We've had all sorts of cards. Not Dragonite. There's been so many other Dragon types, like there's so many Dragon types in the past 3 sets in Sword and Shield that could have been printed as dragons but weren't. So there's definitely... I'm going to put my hand down on the table now and say... no more Dragon types for the Sword and Shield era. Unfortunately, colourless for now, but that's fine because this makes these Dragon cards extremely flexible in a lot of decks, and I'm very excited to be trying out Salamence V. So you're never going to use Heavy Storm, that attack is awful, but the Crossing Flight, 30 damage to all of their Pokemon, is effectively quite similar to what the old Tapu Koko promo used to do, 20 spread for double colourless. Obviously, that was a lot easier to set up. It had a free retreat and all that good stuff. But the fact that you're doing 30, if they don't play Bench Barrier Mew in their Cinccino Mill decks, in whatever deck, in sort of other sort of decks that have like squishy Pokemon on the bench, like any decks that might use a Mulga or whatever, you can just use Crossing Flight 3 times over and over again, and you just pretty much won the game. You've completely obliterated their board. So I can see that this has potential maybe as a one-off in Welder decks. I might try this in my Baby Blacephalon deck if it's still viable without Fiery Flint. Grass decks with Rillaboom, you can accelerate energy to equip any deck that has any easy way to accelerate energy. Maybe in Sandaconda with the Colossal as well. I can see this definitely being nice, and also it's a nice little finisher. If you've not got a boss's orders, you can just quick ball for Salamence and then use the Crossing Flight to wipe out whatever's on their bench. There's only got a couple of damage counters left on it. So Salamence, it's not overly powerful, but I think it will have potential at home. I'm very sad that the Dreadnought V and VMAX cards, because I was hoping for a bit more for Water. Water has kind of been on the back burner recently. Lapras was nice. Frostmoth is great, but they just don't really do the numbers, and they're a bit slow and inconsistent due to all the neat stage 1s and stuff. And unfortunately, Dreadnought V, even like having 240 HP with the hard shell, will not really see much play, and the VMAX, unfortunately, it's really not good. Sorry, guys. I'm just real sad because Dreadnought, when all the original Sword and Shield Pokemon were being revealed, I was super excited to find out more about Dreadnought and play Dreadnought in like the TCG and stuff. So it's got 350 HP with the hard shell, but for free energy, the fact you're flipping coins to do 240, maybe it's got potential. I mean, I'm not going to go out of my way. I'd still probably rather play Lapras VMAX over this if you were to play a Water deck, but the fact that you have to flip a coin to get the same damage as Toxtricity VMAX, yeah, and there's not as much Water synergy as Electric has, so I'm not excited for this, but I hope we get some more Water support soon. I imagine we're probably going to get a Water Special Energy at some point. That might help. Houndoom V, also slightly disappointed with this one. It's beautiful artwork. I love Houndoom. One of the classic like fan favourites from that era. 20 damage burn, not worth it. Vendetta Flame. So sure, it may seem great to do 200 damage for free energies, but you have to think about it logically. We've just been given the new Ninetales V, which I think has the same HP, but you can just for free energy, I believe it is. You can just do any attack that your opponent has, and you still have the option for one more energy to do 170 damage and the burn, I think, with Flamethrower. So Ninetales V is just a lot more flexible, and you also have to rely that they're playing some kind of deck that can get damage counters on your own fire Pokemon. So I don't think 200 damage is enough. If it was 3 fires to do 120 plus another 120 for 240, I might get more excited, because then at least you're knocking out things like Sandaconda, all of the other V Pokemon apart from Zacian. Yeah, not excited about this Houndoom, but it could have potential in the future. With the new Fire Special Energy we'll be getting in the same set, at least it puts it up, gives it some more HP, which can be quite nice. This is interesting. I really like this Galarian Cursor. So, as long as this Pokemon is active, in the active position, whenever your opponent attaches an energy from their hand to one of their Pokemon, you put 3 damage counters on that Pokemon. So if they use Welder, you put in 6 damage counters on them, and if they attach for the turn, that's 9 damage counters. So potentially it's just a nice little disruption thing that you could even like use a hit and run deck maybe, and then swap into this. It gives up 2 prizes obviously, which maybe not the best idea, but it could set up the Pokemon for some more damage and stuff. And the Hollow Missile isn't bad either. Put 3 damage counters on your bench Pokemon, on your opponent's bench Pokemon, however you like. But I'm not too sure about this, because if you are playing a Cursula deck, you'd rather just play the Cursula from, I believe it's Rebel Clash. That's you have, if they, I can't remember what it does. It's very disruptive. But this one has potential, but it doesn't have an obvious home, or yeah, we'll have to see. If we still had Spell Tag, it would be quite nice to put Spell Tags on it as well, but yeah, unfortunately not. Sizor V. I was so disappointed when I saw this card. Holy mackerel. So we got Houndoom and Sizor in this same set, and both are like fan favourites, and both are relatively disappointing. So the Tear-Off is a nice little one-off, I would say. If you are playing a metal deck, you might consider putting in 1 copy of the Sizor to, discard a special energy from like from Dragapult VMAX, or I don't know, you got some options you could do with that. I don't know what other tool cards you really want to discard at the moment. Giant Bomb, if they got a Giant Bomb on them, it obviously gets discarded anyway, but yeah. But 140 damage with 3 energy, that's so disappointing. If it had become with a VMAX as well, that would have been much nicer, but yeah, it's a real shame for Sizor fans. We've had some really good Sizor cards in the past. Mega Sizor EX was really good. Yeah, very disappointing. Moving on. Right, Rhyperior. So again, very disappointing. So 230 HP is nice, but we got the Sandaconda deck. So, that makes sense. So Sandaconda, Colossal can power this up, so you can power it up quite easy, but Drill Run only doing 80 damage. Even if you discard energy, they're just going to keep attaching. It's not really going to be that relevant. Heavy Rock Cannon, 4 energies for 210 damage. Why not just play Sandaconda V and do 220 for 3 energy? Sure, you have to discard the energy, but then they're probably going to knock out the Sandaconda anyway, so you just use Colossal to power it up. I'm very sad. It's quite an interesting artwork as well. It's a lot more CGI, like kind of like claymation sort of in a style, that kind of artwork, but it's a real shame for like the fan of these like classic Pokemon like Sizor, Houndoom, Rhyperior. These cards are really subpar to other cards we've got on already, so I hope some people can make them work though, because they are cool. So the Eternatus VMAX deck also gets a few other interesting dark friends to help it. Ariados, when you play this card from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon, you may switch one of your opponent's bench evolved Pokemon with their active Pokemon. So I can see that potentially in the Eternatus VMAX deck, you might play a 1-1 or a 2-2 line of this card to use with Scoop Up there, so you can just reuse the effect. Because I imagine in the Eternatus VMAX deck, you might also want to be playing around with that Alolan Muck from Team Up. That's you look at the top 6 cards, you discard all the items there. Just because you're playing a deck full of Darkness type Pokemon, you might be playing like subpar darkness type Pokemon you normally wouldn't be, just because of the fact you need a full bench of 8s and you need a whole bunch of different like supporters and like Pokemon that could help like maybe disrupt them and stuff. Obviously, Absol's a strong one, but moving on, Ariados, it might have a place in the Eternatus deck, but the fact it's only an evolved Pokemon, you're really only just switching out like VMAXs and, you know, stage 1 and stage 2 base like non-V Pokemon. It seems alright. It might play in the Eternatus deck. Hooper is quite nice, so you definitely put one of these in the Eternatus deck because it's just a nice 90 damage, comes off the bench, and then you just hit for 90 damage and then take prizes against the VMAX Pokemon we weren't able to one shot. So then they're forced to bring they're forced to try and gust you back up with boss's orders, otherwise they're only taking one prize. So obviously it needs to come off the bench, so your darkness type. So in fact the darkness energy actually does make a lot more sense now, the new special darkness energy, because you can just retreat into the Hooper to use this to do 90 damage to take the KO. So I imagine this might be a nice one-off, maybe 2 in the Eternatus VMAX deck. So it's nice to see they keep printing playable Hooper cards. Yeah, so we talked about Chairman Rose, really good with Malamar VMAX, Eternatus VMAX, probably quite good with like Inteleon if you don't want to go down the route of using Frostmoth. That will make the deck more clunkier. Inteleon VMAX I think needs 3 energies. This will make a lot more VMAX Pokemon in the future a lot more viable. I'm very excited to try out Rose with, especially in my Dragapult VMAX deck. I'm very excited to try out Rose and Dragapult VMAX because you can just use Mewtwo to put a good supporter on top of your deck for next turn. So it doesn't matter. You use Rose just to power up your benched. It's any of your Pokemon, so you can just put it on even on your active or whatever. You can use Rose to power up your Dragapult, and then you've got the perfect top deck for next turn. It doesn't really even matter if they reset stamp you, because you wouldn't use this if you only had like one card, like one prize left to go probably. Most of the time with Dragapult, you can play around with the prizes and the maths, so you're not down to one prize. If they reset stamp you to 2 or 3, it doesn't matter because you're still going to be seeing 3 cards. Again, you can also play it with the Stadium card, the Rose's Tower as well. But yes, I'm very excited to try Rose out. Pierre's. Search your deck for an energy and darkness Pokemon and show it to your opponent and put them into your hand. So this is quite interesting. It doesn't specify special energy, so that means you can search. It doesn't specify only basic energy, so you can search for any energy you want. So you can use this to grab the beautiful hidden darkness energy, so you can get your free retreat and get the VMAX. And it also doesn't say basic darkness Pokemon, so you can use this to get the VMAX Eternatus. You can use this to get the Ariados, the Alolan Muckif from Team Up if you're playing that. Due to the fact that we aren't able to use Jirachi or the Dene GX in this deck, I think there might be better supporter options. Just playing Professor's Research just to draw 7, and then you can use Crobat V to. Oh, actually, this isn't too bad, because if you don't have much of a hand size already, you can just use the Pierre's to get a Crobat V out of your deck. So that could be pretty good actually. So maybe Pierre's will find a. Piers. Maybe he will find a place in the darkness type decks. I'm not sure yet, but we'll have to see. It's definitely got potential. Yeah, we talked about Rose's Stadium, and yes, so that's all of the cards they've announced so far from Infinity Zone. It's definitely. Oh yeah, and also if you purchase a copy of the special deal from the special deal. If you do that, you get this beautiful Professor Sends a Lady promo. I just pray that this is in our English set as like a full art that you can actually obtain, because it's beautiful. Look at her, she's glorious. I will definitely be trying to pick up a couple of these just in case they aren't printed in English to get them PSA graded. They'll be nice little collector's pieces. Yeah, so that was Darkness Ablaze. I'd love to know what you guys think about this set so far. We've pretty much got, with the Burning Road set, not Burning Road, Flame Walk or whatever it's called, with the previous Fire set, the Charizard VMAX, Grimmsnarl VMAX decks, and the cards that we've been announced now, we've pretty got the vast majority of the cards that we're going to have in our Darkness Ablaze set. So if you want to click the link in the description, you can see I talk a lot more about Darkness Ablaze, which was announced yesterday. And you can pretty much start forming like rough ideas of what kind of decks you might want to play after rotation. This set will have like more trainer cards, non-V Pokemon, but we've pretty much seen the majority of the V Pokemon that it's going to bring, and pretty much the strongest trainers that are going to support the Darkness type Pokemon. So you can definitely start theory crafting your Eternatus decks and stuff. So I'm very excited to try that out. And yes, the August set, Darkness Ablaze, very excited. Crobat V is the big money card though, alongside the Charizard VMAX card. Still no idea if we're going to get a rainbow. So yes, if you enjoyed this video, please make sure you hit that subscribe button, ding the bell, leave a comment below. I'd love to know your thoughts on the set. And yes, thank you very much for watching this video. I'll see you soon, Pokemon fans. Gotta catch them all. Thank you very much for watching this video. Remember, once we hit 1,000 subscribers, we'll be giving away this stunning Blastoise and Piplup GX Rainbow Rare cards. So yes, one of you can be winning this card. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, and once we hit 1K, we'll be giving this beautiful card away. Thank you very much, and I'll see you soon. Gotta catch them all.